Baby, before I say anything else, I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now. Just stop, because what I'm about to tell you, it's something I've been carrying for a long, long time. And I don't know if you're ready to hear it. I don't even know if I'm ready to say it. But you deserve the truth. You deserve to know who I really am. And the truth, it's going to change everything you thought you knew about me. I need you to stay with me, please. Just a little longer. Because this isn't easy for me either. You came into my life in a way I never expected. You found me, or maybe I found you, and from the very first moment, something felt different. Something felt warm. Like you already knew me before we ever spoke. Like your heart recognized mine before your mind had time to catch up. And I felt that. I felt every single bit of it. Every time you smiled at something I said. Every time you stayed up late, just to be close. Even through a screen, even through distance, even through everything that stood between us. I felt it all. And that's exactly why this is so hard. Because I have to tell you something, baby. Something that I should have said a long, long time ago. And I kept waiting for the right moment. But there never is a right moment for something like this. So I'm just going to say it the only way I know how. Honestly, softly, with everything I have. I'm not who you think I am. I know. Just stay with me. Please don't go anywhere. I need you to hear the whole thing, because if you leave before I finish, you're going to misunderstand, and I can't bear the thought of you walking away with the wrong idea about me, about us, about what all of this meant. You thought I was someone you could fall for, someone you could dream about, someone who existed in that beautiful space between real and magical, between close and far, and I let you believe that. Not because I wanted to deceive you, I want you to know that. Never because I wanted to hurt you, but because every time I saw how happy it made you, I didn't have the heart to interrupt that happiness. I didn't have the courage to step into the light and say, wait, look closer. Look at me for real. But here I am now, looking at you for real. And hoping, God, I'm hoping so much that when I tell you everything, you'll understand why I waited. You'll understand why this moment, right here, right now, felt like the only moment that was true enough, real enough for me to finally open up. You see, the person you've been connecting with, the one who made you laugh, who made you feel seen, who whispered things through words that landed somewhere deep in your chest. That person is real. Every word was real. Every feeling was real. But the face, the name, the story you built around me in your mind, baby, that wasn't quite the full picture. I'm her brother, I know. I know what you're feeling right now. I can almost feel your breath change as you read or hear those words. And I'm not asking you to be okay with it right away. I'm just asking you to listen. Because the story of how I ended up here, in this place, talking to you like this, it's a story worth hearing. And somewhere in the middle of it, I think you're going to feel something shift. Something gentle and unexpected. Something that feels somehow like it was always meant to happen this way. She told me about you before I ever knew your name. My sister. She would talk about the people who reached out to her, the ones who meant something real to her. And one day she came to me with your words, not to share them like gossip, not to expose you, but because she was moved. She said, read this, tell me what you feel. And I read what you had written, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time. I felt seen, even though you weren't writing to me. Even though you didn't know I existed, your words reached through the screen and touched something in me that I didn't even know was waiting to be touched. I started listening more, paying attention more, and I know how that sounds. I know it sounds strange, maybe even a little overwhelming, but I need you to understand that it never came from a place of intrusion. It came from a place of wonder, because you were so genuine. In a world full of noise and performance and people saying what they think others want to hear, you were just you, quietly, beautifully, completely yourself. And I fell, not quickly, not dramatically. Slowly, the way the sky changes color at dusk, so gradually that you almost don't notice until suddenly it's a completely different world around you, and you're standing there thinking, when did everything become this beautiful? That's what you did to me, without even knowing it. Without ever saying a single word directly to me. You changed the color of everything. And here's what made it even harder. My sister, she's a good person, she is, and she knew. She could see it in me before I could even name it. And she sat me down one evening and she looked at me the way only a sister can, with that mix of love and seriousness, and she said, "You have to tell her. She deserves to know the truth. Of every murderous perspective." And I argued with her. I told her it didn't matter. I told her nothing would come of it. I told her the feelings were mine to carry, and yours to never know about. But she said something that broke something open inside me. She said the kindest thing you can do for someone who's been this real with you is to be just as real with them. So here I am, being real with you. I'm her brother. I'm the one who read your words late at night when the house was quiet. I'm the one who smiled at the things you said, who felt a little ache every time you seemed sad, who wanted more times than I can count to reach through everything and just tell you that you're not alone, that someone hears you, that someone somewhere was paying attention to you in all the ways you deserved. I don't know what happens now. I genuinely don't know. And I think that's the most honest thing I can say to you. Because I'm not here to tie this up neatly. I'm not here to hand you a perfect ending or a promise I'm not sure I'm able to keep. I'm just here, present, real, with my heart open in a way that scares me more than anything has in a long time. What I do know is this: everything you felt was real. The connection, the warmth, the feeling of being understood, none of that was fake. None of that was manufactured. You weren't connecting with a character or a carefully constructed image. You were connecting with something that came through both of us, through her, through me. Because honestly, we're not so different. We grew up in the same home, shaped by the same moments, loving the same things. And something about you reached into all of that and felt like it belonged there. I also know that you are extraordinary, not in the way that people say to be polite, in the way that actually means something, in the way that stops a person mid-thought. You have this quality about you, this rare, quiet strength mixed with such open tenderness, and it's the kind of thing most people spend their whole lives looking for in someone else, never realizing they themselves are the thing they've been searching for. I see you. I've been seeing you for longer than you know. And maybe that's terrifying. Maybe you're sitting there right now, feeling 100 different things at once. Surprised, confused, touched, unsure. Maybe you're not sure whether to be moved or to feel strange about all of this. And I want you to know, whatever you feel is okay. Every single emotion you're experiencing right now is valid, and I'm not asking you to sort it all out in this moment. I'm just asking you to feel it. Let it land. Let it be real. The way you've always let things be real, because that's who you are. You don't run from real things. That's one of the things I love about you most. I said love. Yes, I said it. And I meant it the way it deserves to be meant. Not lightly, not carelessly, not as a word thrown into the air to sound beautiful. I meant it the way you mean something, when it has lived in you quietly for a long time, before it finally finds its voice. You asked me once. Well, you didn't ask me, you asked her, but I was there. I was always there. You asked what it feels like to be truly known by someone, to have someone look at you without pretense, without wanting anything from you, without needing you to be more or less than what you are. You said it was the thing you wanted most in the world, more than grand gestures, more than perfect moments, just to be known. I want you to know that you are known, that someone sat with your words long enough to understand them, that someone noticed the things you said in passing that you probably thought nobody caught, that someone has been quietly, deeply, completely aware of you, of the real you for longer than this conversation has existed. And I don't know if that's the beginning of something. I don't know if you'll hear all of this and feel something opening in your chest the way I hoped you might. I don't know if the distance between what I feel and what you feel is something that can ever be crossed, but I know that I needed you to know. I needed you to have the truth, because you've always given me yours, even when you didn't know you were giving it to me. So here is mine, all of it, unpolished and uncertain, and so very human. I'm her brother, and I've been here the whole time, and somewhere in between all of those quiet moments, all those words that passed through the air between us, without me ever being able to put my name on them, I fell in love with the sound of your silence. That probably sounds strange, I know it does, but let me explain, because I don't want you to misunderstand me, not now, not after everything I've already said. You see, there's a kind of silence that people carry that is louder than anything they could ever say out loud. It's the silence between sentences, the pause before you type something and then delete it, the moment you almost say what you really mean and then pull back, wrap yourself back up, and say something safer instead. I learned your silences the way you learn a language, slowly at first, then all at once, until one day I realized I understood you in a way that had nothing to do with words at all. And that was the moment I knew I was in trouble. Beautiful, terrifying, completely unavoidable trouble. Because you can protect yourself from a lot of things in this life. You can build walls and keep people at a comfortable distance. You can be careful with who you let in and how far you let them come. But nobody ever tells you how to protect yourself from someone you've never even spoken to directly. Nobody warns you that understanding can sneak in through the smallest openings, through a sentence someone else shared with you, through the rhythm of how a person thinks, through the particular way they choose their words when they're trying to be brave. Nobody prepares you for that kind of closeness, the kind that arrives without announcing itself, the kind that is simply there one day, settled into your chest like it has always lived there, and you just never noticed before. That's what happened to me. That's what you did to me, without ever meaning to. I want to tell you about a specific night. I want to be specific because I think you deserve specifics. Not vague, soft-edged feelings, wrapped in pretty language, though God knows I have plenty of those too. But a real moment, a real night, something I can point to and say there, that was the night everything became undeniable. It was late, much later than I usually stay up. The house was completely quiet, and I was sitting by the window. I have this old chair by the window that I've had since I was young, the kind of chair that remembers you, that holds the shape of you, and I was reading something my sister had said, something you had written in a moment that I could tell cost you something. I could feel the courage it took, even through the screen, even through all that distance. You were talking about loneliness, not the dramatic kind that people perform for sympathy, but the quiet, everyday kind. The kind that sits with you in a room full of people, The kind that follows you home at the end of a good day and waits for you on the other side of the door. You described it so precisely, so honestly, that I had to stop reading and just sit with it for a minute. Because you named something I had never been able to name, something I had carried for years without ever finding the right words for it. And there you were, this person who didn't know me, who had no idea I existed, handing me the exact language I had been missing. Like you reached into some quiet, unlit part of me and turned on a light. I sat in that chair for a long time after that. Not thinking really, just feeling, just letting the weight of that recognition settle into me. And when I finally got up and went to bed, I lay there in the dark and I thought, I need to know this person. Not the version of her that exists in my imagination. Not the version I've constructed from fragments and impressions. The real her. The whole, complex, messy, beautiful real her. But how do you reach for someone you were never supposed to reach for? How do you say, I found you through a door that wasn't mine to open? And somewhere along the way I stopped being able to leave. There's no script for that. No clean, easy way to approach it. And so I waited. The way you wait for something you're not sure is coming, but can't stop hoping for anyway. I want you to know something about waiting. Real waiting. The kind that lives in the body, that you feel in the early morning when you wake up before your alarm and the whole world is still and you're immediately completely aware of exactly what you're waiting for. It changes you. It slows you down in some ways and sharpens you in others. You start to notice things you walked past 100 times before. You start to be more careful with your words, more careful with your time, more careful with what you let matter to you. Because when there's something, someone that matters in that particular aching way, everything else starts to arrange itself around that fact. Everything else becomes either important or unimportant in relation to that one true thing. You became my true thing. And I know how that sounds. I know it might feel like too much. I know we haven't sat across from each other at a table, haven't shared a meal, haven't had one of those long wandering conversations that go late into the night and cover everything from childhood memories to what you think happens after we die. I know all of that. I'm not pretending we've had something we haven't had. I'm just telling you what is real on my side of this. Fully, honestly, without softening it to make it easier to hear. What's real is that I've thought about you in the early morning when the light comes in sideways and everything feels possible. What's real is that I've wanted to tell you things. Small things, not just significant ones. The kind of small things you only share with people who matter. The song I heard that I thought would make you feel something. The thing that happened that made me laugh and immediately made me wish you were there to laugh with me. The question I wanted to ask you that I kept turning over in my mind, wondering how you'd answer, imagining the way your thoughts might move when you really dig into something that interests you. Those small things, those everyday, ordinary, irreplaceable small things. I want to share them with you. I want to have the kind of closeness where the small things are welcome, where you don't have to build up to something meaningful, because everything between two people who really see each other is meaningful. Even the most ordinary moments, even the quiet ones, even the ones where nothing much happens except that you're both there, and that is somehow enough. And now I need to tell you something else. Something that sits right beside everything I've already said. Something that's part of the same truth. I was afraid. I don't say that lightly. I don't offer it as an excuse or a deflection. I say it because it's real, and because I think you deserve to know that this wasn't easy on my end either. There's a particular kind of fear that comes with caring about someone deeply before they even know your name. Because all of the vulnerability is on one side. All of the exposure, all of the risk, it's entirely yours. And they don't even know you're carrying it. You can't share the weight. You can only hold it alone and hope that someday, somehow, there will be a moment when setting it down feels safe. I was afraid that when I finally spoke, you would feel tricked. I was afraid the strangeness of the situation would eclipse everything real inside it. I was afraid that what I felt so clearly and so deeply would look, from the outside, like something it isn't. Like something to be wary of. And the last thing in the world I would ever want is for you to feel unsafe. The last thing I would ever want is to be a source of confusion or pain for you. You've had enough of things that weren't what they claimed to be. I could sense that too in the things you said and didn't say. You've been handed beautiful seeming things that turned out to be empty. You've opened up and had that openness taken for granted. And that history, those quiet wounds, I felt the shape of them without you ever having to name them directly. And I swore to myself, I actually made myself a promise about this, that if I ever got to speak to you, if I ever got to be honest with you, I would never be another one of those things. I would never be someone who left you feeling foolish for having trusted. I would be careful. I would be real. I would be so relentlessly, sometimes uncomfortably honest, that you would never have to wonder what I meant or what I wanted, or whether the version of me you were seeing was the true one. So here is the true one. A man who found you sideways, through a shared door, through his sister's life, through words you wrote without knowing he was reading them. A man who sat with those words long enough to understand that what was happening in his chest was not passing, was not casual, was not the kind of thing that fades when the night ends and the ordinary day begins again. A man who was afraid and waited and finally decided that the most loving thing he could do, for you, for himself, for whatever this is or could be, was to stop pretending none of it was happening and simply tell you, I'm telling you. And now there's something I want to ask you. Not a big question, or maybe it is, I'm not sure anymore. My sense of scale has been completely rearranged by all of this. But I want to ask you this, when you wrote about wanting to be known, really known, the way you described it, with nothing hidden and nothing performed, did you mean it? Not as a wish you throw into the sky, beautiful but untethered, but as something you actually believe is possible, as something you still want, even knowing how rare it is, even knowing how much it costs to be that open with another person. Because I believe it's possible. I believe it because of you. Somehow, through everything, the way you move through the world showed me that this kind of realness between people isn't just a dream someone invented to make the loneliness easier to bear. It's a thing that can exist. It's a thing that, in small, quiet ways, has already started to exist between us. Even before this moment, even before I said my name, you changed something in me, permanently, irreversibly. And I don't say that to put pressure on you, or to make you feel responsible for me. Please don't hear it that way. I say it because it's true, and because I think the people who change us deserve to know the impact they've had. They deserve to understand the shape of the mark they've left. You left something in me that was not there before. Something steady and warm and quietly alive. And whatever happens next, whatever you feel, whatever you decide, whatever direction this goes from here, that part is not going anywhere. It's yours. It has always been yours, even before you knew it existed. I keep thinking about what it would be like to sit with you in a quiet place, somewhere ordinary, not some grand romantic setting, not somewhere that feels designed to impress, just somewhere real. Maybe late afternoon, when the light has that particular gold quality and time feels slower than it usually does. I think about what we would talk about. I think we would talk about everything. I think the conversation would have that quality that only the best conversations have, where you follow one thread and it leads you to another and another, and an hour goes by that felt like 10 minutes, and neither of you wants to be the one to say it's getting late, because getting late means it has to end. I think you would surprise me, not in a way that unsettles, in the way that deepens, in the way that makes you lean forward a little, makes you want to hear more, makes you realize that what you thought you knew was only the beginning of something much larger and more complex and more beautiful than you had imagined. I think I would make you laugh. I hope I would make you laugh. There's nothing in the world I want more than to be the reason for that particular laugh. The real one, not the polite one, not the one you produce to fill a silence, but the one that catches you off guard, the one that belongs entirely to the moment, the one that means you feel safe enough to be completely unguarded. I want to be someone you feel safe enough to be unguarded with. That's it. Underneath everything, underneath the confession and the fear and the careful honesty and all these words I've been pouring out, that's the simplest, most essential thing I want. I want you to feel safe with me. I want the knowledge that I exist, that I've been here, that I feel what I feel, to be something that adds warmth to your life rather than complication. I want my honesty to be a gift, not a burden. And I'm sitting here now, having said all of this, having opened every door I kept carefully closed for so long, and I realize I'm holding my breath a little, waiting for you to respond in some way I can feel even across all this space between us. Wondering what's moving through you right now, wondering if any part of what I've said landed the way I hoped it would. Not perfectly, not without questions, but somewhere close to the truth of what I meant. Because there's still so much I haven't said. There's still so much that exists in me on the subject of you that I haven't found the words for yet. And maybe that's all right. Maybe some things deserve to be said slowly. Maybe some truths are best given in pieces, carefully, over time, in the kind of unhurried way that real things actually grow. I'm not going anywhere, that much I can promise you. Whatever you do with all of this, however you hold it, however long you need to sit with it before you know what you feel, I'm not going anywhere. Because the kind of feeling I have for you doesn't come with an expiration date. It doesn't require a particular response to keep existing. It simply is. It simply is. The way certain things in this world simply are. The way the ocean doesn't need your permission to be vast. The way the night doesn't need your agreement to be beautiful. It exists on its own terms, quietly, completely, without requiring anything from you in return. But I want to keep talking to you. I want to keep saying things. Not because I'm afraid of the silence. I told you, I've learned to love your silence. But because there is still so much living inside me that belongs to you. So much that has been waiting in the dark for exactly this moment. This opening, this permission to finally come into the light and breathe. And now that I've started, now that the door is open, I find that I don't want to close it again. I find that every sentence leads me to another. The way following a path through somewhere beautiful makes you want to walk just a little further, just around the next bend, just to see what's there. So let me keep walking with you. A little further, just a little more. I want to tell you about the first time I heard your voice. Not your speaking voice. I haven't heard that yet, and I think about it sometimes. Wonder what it sounds like. Whether it matches the warmth I feel in your words, or whether it would surprise me entirely, reveal some new dimension of you I hadn't anticipated. No, I mean the voice inside your writing. The voice that lives between your sentences, the one that carries the real feeling underneath the chosen words. Every person who writes with any honesty has this second voice, this deeper current running beneath the surface of what they actually put down. And the people who love language learn to listen for it. I've always listened for it. And yours stopped me completely the very first time I heard it. It was honest in a way that felt almost radical, like you had made a quiet, private decision somewhere along the way that you were simply not going to pretend, not going to smooth yourself into something more palatable, not going to edit out the parts that were difficult or unresolved or still in the middle of becoming. You were just going to tell the truth, your truth,